Well, good morning, everyone. It is so great to see y'all here today. I'm Chad, and just in case you don't know, I'm Chad, one of the pastors on staff here, and I just really want to tag on to DeVero's message. I want to just take it, even just go a little further with it, and you just saw an example of change is possible. It's possible. Think with me for a minute. Would you like this coming year, 2026, to be a little maybe different than 2025 was? Would you like there to be a healthy, beneficial change in your life in this coming year? I would. It doesn't even mean everything was awful. It just means I would like some healthy, really good change in my life. And I got a question for you. What do you think of when you hear the word change? Like what comes across your mind? A lot of times, it may not be you, but a lot of times this is where we go with this. We think about rearranging. Just go with me for a second. Think about your living room or your bedroom, and you say, tired of things being the way they are in here. Let's rearrange the furniture. My wife, Diana, is the rearrange queen. I'm not so much on I like one to be in the same place all the time, but it's like, hey, let's move this. Well, why? Well, because, it'll probably be better. It was fine the way it was, but we're going to move it anyway. But we have both been on board at times, and it's like, okay, let's rearrange things in here. Let's move stuff around. So let's put the couch against the wall over here and move the recliner over there. And, okay, you know what? That changed things. Things were different when you walked into that room. You stubbed your toe a few times on the chair that didn't used to, wasn't there before. Well, things changed. But at the same time, when you rearrange the furniture in one of your rooms, really nothing changed. I mean, there might be a different location, but, the duct tape is still on the recliner chair, and it's still sticky and still rolling up on the edges. The blanket that you used to keep warm on the couch, it's still, pretty dirty and smells like dog. And the cushions on your couch that you moved over there to the wall, they're still flat. And you still don't have any lumbar support in it. It's the same couch. The stains from all of your spills, they're still there. You just flip the cushions over so that way nobody sees it. But they pop up from time to time when you go to move things or try to find something. You're like, oh, yeah, I can't do that because there's a stain there. Real change isn't really just moving the furniture around. Real change is what? New furniture. Like, go see Mattress Mac. I don't know, go somewhere and get some new furniture. Now, I'll give you this. It may be in the real change can also be like redoing the whole furniture. Like reupholster the whole thing and support it and add different, support, replace the foam and the cushions and redo the, okay, that'll count too. But essentially when you do that, it's new furniture. Well, I have a question. I figure most of you have experienced things like this, and so have you ever tried to rearrange your life's furniture? Have you ever tried to, I need to fix some ick in my life, so let me move things around. And maybe you did that in 2025. And maybe you did make a few changes. Maybe your schedule might be a little different, or you changed your surroundings, or you might do this a little different. But if you really sat down and thought, you still feel like I changed some stuff, but a lot of things still seem the same. I still feel the same. I still have some of the same issues and struggles and problems. Maybe you move stuff around, but you still got that rip in your soul that you've been trying to cover up. Maybe you don't have any cushion left in your life to relax, and you don't feel like you have any support from people. That might still feel the same. Maybe you don't have any warmth in your life, and things just feel cold. So maybe things changed, but then again, maybe they still somehow in the middle of the change, they kind of stayed the same. Maybe you've shifted some things around, but the reminders of your past mistakes are still there, and they show up like stains from time to time. And you would really wish, like, I'm just tired of having to see this all the time? Well, if these things or something similar maybe that you've thought in your mind, if that relates to you, if you're like, yeah, that is a little bit of my 2025 or the past 20 years or however long, I would say you need a change, like a real healthy change, and change is possible. As a matter of fact, today would probably be the perfect day to start. Why not? Now, y'all already got this. You've already made this connection in your brain. Real change takes more than rearranging. It takes a shift at your core. Real change is possible. DeVero gave us a great example of that. Real change has happened in his life, and real change can happen for me and you, and it can start today. And today what I want to present to you is this. Hold on, let me back that up. Outlook and outline lead to outcome. Now, that's a common thing that preachers use. We're always going to use alliteration. I need to find something with, all three words start with the same letter. And I mean, this is common. If you've ever been to church in your life, you've probably heard this. But outlook and outline lead to outcome. Now, here we go. Quite a few centuries ago, there was a man named Solomon. Solomon, he was a king. He was, King David's son, and he became the king of the land. And if you read in the Bible, you can look this up in 2 Chronicles 1 and 1 Kings 3. Solomon was the wisest and the richest person ever to be on the planet, on the face of the planet. Now this is you can read this in the Bible. God made him the wisest man ever. And just to I'm going to try to put this into perspective for us. You've probably heard of a man named Elon Musk before. And if you didn't, it's okay. But it just so happens that by many accounts, he's the richest guy on the planet today. The Tesla guy, the SpaceX guy, and whatever else he's in. I don't know him personally. I've never met him, but a quick Google search will tell me this guy is pretty wealthy. He's got a whole lot more money than I do. And so he has to at least have some wisdom to be this wealthy. Might not be the smartest, but he's got something. How many of you ever heard about this guy? Seen something about him? Okay. So if Elon Musk is rich, to compare him to Solomon was multiply that by 10 and you're still not close. Solomon was like the top guy of all time, being wise and wealthy. And that's not a slight on Mr. Musk. It's just a comparison so we can grasp how big a deal Solomon was. And I'm saying this for a reason, because if Solomon was the richest, wisest guy on the planet, and it showed in everything, and God's the one that gave him that wisdom, maybe it would be good for me to pay attention to some of the things that Solomon wrote down. Maybe I can apply those to my life. Now, if you leave out the biblical endorsement of Solomon, let's leave out what the Bible said. You can look him up in history anyway, and you're still going to find out that he was the wisest man on the planet. He's still ranked as the wisest person ever. People came to him from all over the world just to ask him a question. Hey, what do you think about this? Or tell me about that. And they would come and bring him, they would pay him for his advice. Now, some of his writings, as we just already mentioned, they're in the Bible. The Bible that we have today, we have some of the things that Solomon wrote, and one of the places we can find this is in the book of Proverbs. And actually, there's quite a few that he wrote in there. And whether you're a Jesus follower or not, you can benefit from the things that Solomon wrote down. You can apply them to your life. Now, today what we're going to do is we're going to zero in on a piece of Proverbs chapter 3 in our Bibles, and that's where we find outlook and outline lead to outcome. Now, just kind of a little pause. As with all of my messages, or at least as all of my messages as I got older, this one's not aimed at pointing a grouchy finger at anybody. Like, y'all should be doing it this way, and you weren't, and y'all sorry sacks. No. It's a, hey, in case you didn't know, or maybe in case you've forgotten, God cares about you. You're a person that he loves so much. And he probably has a better way for you than you've been going in some places in your life. And so we want to be helpful. That's what this is about. So Proverbs chapter 3, we're going to start in verse 5. I'm going to read you the whole thing, and then we'll kind of unpack it a little bit. Trust in the Lord with all of your heart. Do not depend on your own understanding. Seek his will in all you do, and he will show you which path to take. Don't be impressed with your own wisdom. Outlook. Let's start with that. Verse 5, trust in the Lord with all of your heart. Your outlook is your perspective on life, how you view things. So I guess let me ask, what is your outlook? What's your perspective on life? Do you approach life from this perspective? I can trust God with everything. I can trust him with all of my heart. Do you have the perspective that God can be trusted 100% of the time? Now, it's easy for me to say, oh yeah, of course I do. Okay, well, I think I sometimes need to ask myself that question again. Wait a minute, Chad, do you really trust God with all of your heart? Let me tell you why I say that. Because we've all trusted friends. We've all trusted people. We've all trusted the internet at some point. We've all trusted a movie review from a person, and then you go to see that movie, and you're like, what the heck? You know, why are you sending me to that? That's horrible. We have trusted other people in our lives, and those other people have failed us. They've betrayed us. They've hurt us. And so what happens is, again, I think we maybe likely have this in common, and it leads to an outlook. It leads to you and I, maybe even subconsciously, saying, you know what, I can't trust anybody else. I can't trust people. I've got to be in control of everything myself. I've got to make sure it's done right my way. Or I can only trust a few people with a few things, but I've got to be the one for everything else. And we quit trusting because life, throws some things at us and they hurt. And God is one of the ones that gets thrown out in that. I really do think this is a common experience and a common thought process. And it may be one of the reasons why Solomon included with all of your heart. Trust in the Lord with all of your heart. I would say probably, this is just a probably, many people in this room or maybe watching online, maybe you've said something like this, I know what God said, I know what's in the Bible, but a lot of us got some big butts. But my perspective is this. I know it's in the Bible, and I know God said that, but what I think is this. I think to do it my way is better. My outlook is that I trust me more than God about this issue or this subject. I'll trust God here, but I'm going to trust myself here. Now, I guess this is me. I have to ask myself, how many of those buts have ended up in a healthy change from my life? Or how many have ended up with heartache that I wish I didn't go through? Trust in the Lord with all of your heart. If God invented everything, and I think he did, if he's the master of everything, he created everything, he knows everything about everything, maybe he knows what's best about your thing. I know God's never been wrong, and he doesn't have anything to gain if things go badly for you. He cares about me and you. So to me, that says I should be able to trust him, but things get in the way. It can be very helpful for us to remember this, that God wants the best for us. And he knows what the best for us is. He knows what the best for you is. So trusting him it's only beneficial for me and you. So our outlook is healthy when it's more like this: I will trust God with all of my heart. Outlook and outline lead to outcome. So on our outlook, our perspective, how do I trust God with the stuff? If you've been in a service with me before, you may know that I really like to take a moment to say, well, let's ask God. Let's just talk to him ourselves. I think he's got better answers than I do. So let's pause here for a second. Let's ask God about our own outlook for that. What was our outlook for 2025? I mean, like us personally, you personally, me personally. So if you're willing, take a second and do this. Ask God, say, God, did I trust you with all of my heart in 2025? I don't know the answer. I'm saying let's ask him, like really, ask him. Take a sec. God, did I trust you with all of my heart this past year? Now, if the answer is yes, fantastic. If the answer from God's straight to your heart is, well, no, then you're okay. It's okay. But the next thing you would follow up with, okay, God, where did my butt get in the way? Like where didn't I follow you? Let him tell you, so that you can make an adjustment to your outlook. Because trust God with all of your heart is one of the wisest things written in the Bible. The next piece, outline. Outline is found in verse 6. It's seek his will in all you do. Seek his will in all you do. Your outline is your priorities. Everybody in here has priorities. Whether it's a speech or a sermon or a board meeting or a project or a vacation, your outline is all the things that you're going to do in the order that you're going to do them. Now, some of you are like, well, I'm off the hook here. Well, no, there's not a hook, but you're like, I'm off the hook here because I don't plan anything. Okay. Well, that might be part of it. Maybe we need an outline that says, hey, this is really how I think things should go, and that should be seek his will in all you do. Your outline focuses on your priorities, and your priorities organize your life. However your life went, it went according to your priorities. However this last week went with Christmas and family and stuff, it went according to your priorities. This one's fairly straightforward. This one's pretty simple. Everybody in this room, everybody watching online has all of the intelligence you need to catch on to this. Your priorities manage your life. The outline of real healthy change is this. Seek to engage in God's mission first. This is always the best option. So if we're still thinking, can I change? Can my 2026 be different than my 2025? Yes, it can. Can it be better? Yes, it can. Is real change possible? Is healthy change for my life possible? Yes, it is. Things can change, and your outlook matters. Your outline matters. So if you need healthy change, your outline is certainly critical. Your priorities are critical. So let's ask God this. God, what's been the top priority of my outline? What has been the top priority? Let's take a second. Let him tell you. God, what's really been the top priority of my life? What was number one? You might be surprised at what he says. Now, I have a by the way here. By the way, when you decide that you want healthy change in your life, when you decide, I want something to be different in a good way, I want something to be better, I guess it may not be 100% of the time, but 99.9% of the time you're going to start to implement, I want to change some things, there's going to be conflict. Conflict will occur. And when conflict occurs, don't be surprised, because now you know. It's going to happen. Even if it's the best change ever in your life, conflict will most likely occur on some level. Keep going. Keep with the perspective. Keep with the priorities, your outlook and your outline. Keep rolling with them. Let me go a little bit more with this. So all hell may break loose when you tell yourself that God comes first. Your first fight may be with you. Like you're going to have a conflict with your own self. It happens. Conflict may happen when you tell others God's coming first. You know what? We're making a change in my life, and I'm gonna change my outlook. I'm gonna change my perspective. I'm changing my priorities, and that's gonna affect somebody else. Well, conflict might occur out of that. That's okay. That's actually a normal, natural process. Stick with it. Now, the general rule kind of goes like this. Change of any kind usually goes, I decide I'm going to make a change, and I start to do it. Then I hit conflict. But if I'll continue through that conflict and work through it, growth occurs. Growth happens. Change, healthy change does happen at that point. So when you or I want real change in our life situations, we start with our outlook. Change begins. Then we alter our outline to put God first, and conflict happens almost always. But if we stick with it through the conflict, the outcome will be growth and healthy change. You've experienced this. Well, we're going to change this, and then 172,000 reasons tell you why you can't change that. That's conflict. The next one is this, outcome. Outlook and your outline lead to the outcome, and we find this in verse 6. I'm going to read, you're going to see a piece of it. I'm going to read the whole, or a lot of it. Trust in the Lord with all of your heart. Do not depend on your own understanding. Seek his will in all you do, and he will show you which path to take. And he will show you which path to take. This is the outcome. How many times have you said, God, which way do I go here? If we trust God and we prioritize his will, then he makes our paths clear. Like then we know he shows us how to proceed. He leads us to the path that's best for us. But if we trust something else and prioritize something else, you will be on a path. It just won't be the best path, and likely won't end up in healthy change. Likely the outcome won't be what you were hoping for or wanting. So to sum it up really simply, when you attempt real change, the outcome is dependent on how you're looking at things and what you prioritize. How are you looking at things? Who you trust and what you put first. So it takes just maybe recall in your mind for a second, who was I trusting God this year, and was I putting him first? Maybe yes or maybe no, or for many it's like, well, a little bit here and a little bit there and a little bit not here and a little bit not there. Listen really carefully. The outcome never lies. The outcome always reflects your outlook. It reflects who or what you trusted and who or what you put first. It's going to reflect that. So, okay, God, I want to look at my outcomes for 2025 because probably some of them were great. Probably some of them were really good. And then maybe there were others that were like, that's not what I had hoped. That's not what I had aimed for. That's not really the way I wanted it to go. So let's take another moment and say, God, what can I learn from my 2025 outcomes? Go ahead and take a sec. Like really, you and God. You can close everybody else. Ignore everybody else in the room. This is your one permission to ignore your husband or wife. God, what can I learn from my 2025 outcomes? Now let me say, if you struggle to maybe in a big setting with a lot of people around, think, can I really hear God? Will he really talk to me and around all these people? Or you're afraid to write it down because you don't want the person next to you to see it? Okay. Do it again later when you're by yourself. Okay, God, I want to take a few minutes. I don't remember everything Chad said, but outlook and outline and outcome, that's why we do that. We use those, so now you're going to remember those, maybe. Outlook, outline, and outcome. God, tell me about those. I want to hear what you have to say about my 2025 and these things. And let him talk to your heart. He wants to talk to you. What practical things can we do to make real change, healthy change, good change in our lives in this coming year? And remember, change, conflict, growth. That's a process. That's probably the way it's going to go. The things are this. Our outlook. Decide to trust God with all of your heart. Just say, okay, I'm going to decide to trust God with everything. It's a decision you can make. And sometimes it's a scary one because we've been betrayed and we've had the failures and all of that stuff. But give it a shot. And one of my prayers for me when it comes to this kind of stuff is this. This is one of my favorite. I've got a couple of my favorite things here. And this one, the first one is, God, take me where you want me to go. God, I want to see things the way you're seeing them. I want my outlook to be what your outlook is. So whatever, let's go there. I want to trust you. You drive. You take me. The next thing is your outline. Your outline. What can you do about it? You can apply God's priorities. All year long at a lot of times at church, and if you've engaged God throughout the week in other ways, you're hearing all kinds of good things. A lot of God's priorities you're reading or you're learning or you're like, oh, I didn't know that, and you can apply them. Apply them. They work once they're applied. And this is just me, but my prayer that goes along with this one is this: God, please lead me to do what you're blessing. I really think I heard this from someone else. I didn't make it up myself. And I think prior to me, whenever I heard that, my prayer was more like, God, will you please bless what I'm doing? And that's okay. Like, hey, God, we're doing this. Like, that's fine. But I also want to make sure, for me, I always say, God, I do want you to bless what I'm doing, but will you lead me to do what you're blessing? Like, I just go ahead, and I want my priorities to be lined up with yours. Whatever you're blessing, that's what I want to be number one. That's what I want to be in the top list for me. So will you just, please, I want to do what you're blessing, God. I want to seek God's will by asking and learning and reading. I don't want to pull in, what are you saying? What are your priorities? And then when we decide to do those things, our outlook, our outline, God, I want to decide to go your way in these things. Then the outcome is this: God leads your path. He sheds light on where you're going. He tells you which way to go. And now, Solomon, the guy that wrote this proverb, or this whole list of things here, I think he got a little smart with us at the end of what we're reading. So, it's really neat. Trust in the Lord with all your heart. Do not depend on your own understanding. Seek his will in all you do, and he'll show you which path to take. That's all great. And he follows that up with, don't be impressed with your own wisdom. I think that's a snarky remark. But here he is, the wisest guy ever on the face of the earth, that says, listen, don't be impressed with your own wisdom. I don't think he was saying, I'm smarter than you. I don't think he was saying, don't be impressed with your wisdom, be impressed with mine. I think it was something different than that. I think he was making something very, very clear. Real healthy change is the outcome when your outlook and outline are lined up with God, all right? Solomon then says, don't be impressed with your own wisdom. And I actually think that that statement, especially for anybody in here that is a longer or a long-term Christian, or you've been going to church for a while, and you know stuff. You've read this scripture, Proverbs chapter 3, a lot of times. Maybe you've preached it somewhere to somebody else. Maybe you've preached it to yourself. So you're like, I got this. I understand what you're saying. Like I already knew that. Why did I even come today? All right? But then he follows it up. Don't be impressed with your own wisdom. So for any Christian who's tuned me out, listen very carefully. This can change your life. The wisest man ever says that wisdom isn't impressive. I'm going to paraphrase that for you. Wisdom doesn't change things. Obedience does. Knowing all of this stuff is great. We need to know it. We need to grab hold of the wisdom from other people. That's 100%. Like, we should do that. But that's not what changes anything. That's not what actually makes healthy, real change in my life and in your life. What changes things is when we apply it. When we're obedient to what God has said. When we're like, okay, if I have the right, or if I have a healthy outlook, I get it. I'm going to trust God. And then if I make his priorities my priorities, I set that, and that's my outline. He comes first. And I actually engage and apply those things. That's when the outcome is God will lead your path. That's when something actually good changes and happens because of it. Knowing we should trust God and should apply his priorities, that doesn't actually result in the change. Actually doing them is what can change everything. Change can happen this coming year for you. Change is possible. Real, good, healthy change is possible. Healthy outlook and a healthy outline lead to a healthy outcome. I want to pray for you. Lord, for every person in this room and every person watching and listening online, God, will you speak to our hearts? We really do want to hear what you're saying about our outlook on life, who we're trusting. God, will you show us where we've been trusting you well, and then the places where we haven't? God, will you show us what our priorities have been if we don't know? Will you help us to recognize what yours are and lead us to them? God, we want the best outcome we can have for this coming year. And now we know, God, we know that change is probably going to bring some conflict, and it's not always the easiest thing. Remind us of that in the middle of it, God, and help us to grow. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.